This is Suspenders Unbuttoned, a podcast where friends talk with friends about TV, movies, and books.
Hello, everyone. There's the echo again. Welcome to Suspenders Unbuttoned podcast. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Julie, and we're excited to have the writers of The Blessing Bracelet, Teresa Thome and Patrick Ziegler. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello. Thanks for being here. We're excited to talk with you. We connected on Instagram, so I'm really happy we're able to set this up. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for inviting. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
great.
So you both wrote the Blessing Bracelet, which aired on Easter on the Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, I believe.
Yep.
So how did that feel, getting to watch it on such a special day?
Well, we did a small little gathering of about 60 people.
I was going to say not too small.
Just a tiny one. Yeah.
Friends and family at the church in my hometown in Douglas, Michigan, Unity Church. And Teresa was in town. She's from Grand Rapids, but lives partly in LA. And it was so much fun because it was dear friends, dear family, new friends, new family. And my 90-year-old dad, Norm, was there, and we named one of the characters after him, which was really fun. So it was a wonderful experience. It was thrilling. It really was.
Everybody was so happy for us. And we were like, oh no, it's Easter. Are people going to be able to make it? And at first we were going to feed people. And then we were like, let's just give them dessert, which worked out great. And people brought desserts. I mean, it was very Hallmarky.
I was just going to say, that seems amazing. So they can have Easter dinners with their families, friends and families, or however that it works for them. And then enjoy the evening with desserts. And did everyone bring desserts? And did we have church tables set up? Please tell me it looks like church ladies.
It couldn't have been homier and more. It felt like every Midwest funeral you've ever attended.
Exactly. The long tables are set up. We're in Minnesota, so there would be, for dessert, there will of course be bars.
Yeah.
We don't do pan cookies. We have bars.
Yeah.
We did a cake and we got a photo of the cake, and it was in our town.
It was charming. It was really
our town that we live in is called Saugatuck, Douglas, and everybody says when they come here, they're like, it looks like a Hallmark movie. And
the town that Patrick lives in, I live about 45 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I live about 45 minutes east or 3,000 miles west, depending on where I am.
So it sounds like another scene you need to add to your next Hallmark movie, right?
Right. How did you guys get involved in this project or writing this movie?
Shall I start? I'll start, and then Patrick can grab. How's that?
Perfect.
Patrick really starts this one. Years ago, many, many, many moons ago, we had an idea. Patrick fearlessly picked up the phone and cold called, basically, just about cold emailed somebody over at Hallmark. We had a production company at the time and had some people attached to this potentially Hallmarkian idea. Mm-hmm. We knew it wasn't necessarily for them because it was a male protagonist, but we thought maybe if they're doing Hallmark Hall of Fame, maybe it would sit in that wheelhouse as a Christmas movie. And we approached them and they said, let us read it. So they read it and they went, love your writing. This isn't for us, which we knew. What else do you have? Yeah. We switched them something else and they went, that's great. Just kind of like something we've already done. What else do you have? So we kind of kept playing we got our foot in the door, but it was the what else do you have process.
Yep.
And then Patrick met this woman, Dawn Sprung, who had a business that was, she has a jewelry making business, and it took off. In many ways after it might have been a successful-ish already before that, but
it was at the point that we decided to do it. She had already gone through the whole process of.
She'd already achieved the Blessing Bracelet her blessing bracelet success. But yeah, so he had met this woman and just said, I've met this fascinating woman and she's got this blessing bracelet. And I think there's something to the story of the blessing bracelet that might sit in the wheelhouse of Hallmark. And we started to play with the idea. And then how many years passed?
5 years. We got basically a soft yes from them saying, we really like this project. We don't know when we'll do it. Then we teamed up with a wonderful executive producer, Joey Plager, who is just a fantastic producer, but a fantastic human as well. And he really liked it. So we just kept on kind of, talking about it and keeping the conversation going. And then in November, we got a phone call from Joey saying, I said, are you calling because Hallmark is finally doing our movie? And he said, yep. And I was like, whoa. And it was a Christmas movie. And they actually asked us if we could make it into an Easter theme, which it lined up perfectly.
Yeah.
It actually makes it even deepened it further by being an Easter movie. So we were so excited to be able to lean into that. Which was nice. Yeah. But it was also like, oh, it's November and we want a movie on the air. We want you to turn your Christmas movie into an Easter movie.
Yeah.
Because we need to be in pre-production by January 2nd. And
Right.
go.
Right.
And that's actually a longer time than a lot of scripts, from what we understand, get. Sometimes it's like just a few weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, different things. And it was interesting. I was telling Teresa, I watched your interview with the writers for Ride.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
I know. So I tuned in too. I watched today. Fun.
Oh, we love them. Yeah.
Yeah.
they're great. And their process that they had been working with it for 7 years. And then also that the woman was at Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's the way this process works. You just don't know when, where, or how. And you just keep the vision.
I mean, when Patrick said it was a soft yes, it was like this woman 4 years ago said, I'm going to produce your movie in 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years. But we, so we just kind of went, okay, is that going to, and then the pandemic came and went, and you just kind of hold on to, and, and nudge, and then getting Joey involved was great. And he would nudge, and we were on a yes pile someday, and all of a sudden and Dayspring really liked it. So as an opportunity for them. So they, it was sponsored by Dayspring.
And then it couldn't be more perfect.
Right. And then the vision to see it as an Easter movie, like I can see how, like, as writers, it was easy for you to do a little rewriting and add that depth for Easter. It was because it seemed like that's what it was written for when I'm watching it. So I love that.
We definitely had some of the depth there already, because you can't write a movie about a blessing bracelet without it having some kind of spiritual tone to it. But obviously leaned definitely into renewal and rebirth and,
And the way we had it started at Thanksgiving and went into Christmas. And so it was nice to adjust it to Galentine's and Valentine's, and then have what was wonderful is just the theme of renewal, spring happening through her whole journey up to Easter. It really, really helped.
Yeah, I love that. Also love that you said that you watched the other writers and then just how their project came to be and how your project came to be. I think if we've taken anything away from doing these podcasts, it's you never know what that connection you met there might come back again.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Patrick lived in LA how many years ago? 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And he was, he helped one guy get his first job as a page on The Price is Right. And that guy ends up running, our first pitch we got in Hollywood was because that guy is now running division, it's crazy how it all kind of comes together.
See,
sorry, go ahead, Julie.
I was just going to say, it's like you never know who it's going to be.
Yeah.
You be nice to everyone. That was like the number one thing that I when I talk to younger, people that want to get into the business and everything, I'm like, be a nice person, because you don't know that the receptionist that you're walking into is possibly going to be somebody that you're looking to pitch in about 2 months. You just don't know. It can happen so quickly.
Mhm.
So,
And it's good to be a nice person anyway. Not
Absolutely. For so
Right.
many reasons. But you know what I want to know is, how did the two of you become, writing partners and business partners? You have a lot of other things that you've done besides this. I mean, you have Fubble Entertainment. So tell us a little bit about how you two got connected and what that process was like.
sure. Do you want me to go with this one? Okay.
sure.
Um,
Since you started in the biz before me a little bit.
yeah. So basically, I was in LA, working in LA, producing main title for shows mainly. And then I moved to Chicago. And when I moved to Chicago, Teresa was was executive director of the Grand Rapids Children's Museum
Mm-hmm.
in Michigan. And she said, hey, this artist approached me with this children's TV show. Would you take a look? And I thought, oh, that's cute. You and your little show. Good for you, you know? And
You and your little West Michigan show.
and I read the script and I was like, this is really good. And long story short, we got a production designer from Sesame Street.
Mm-hmm.
We got directors from Blue's Clues. We got Ruth Buzzy, whoever remembers Ruth Buzzy from Laugh-In and Sesame.
I'll get my rocking chair out.
And so it just was this magical time. The puppet designer had worked on Elf. She was the left arm of Elf and had done Sesame Street. So we.
Yeah, I know. We call her the liberal wing of Elf. Yeah.
So Teresa and I had been friends since college and had done theater together and everything. So all of a sudden, she hired me. She was my boss to produce this show, and it went on to do very well. We did 26 episodes, I think.
Something like that, 24. Yeah.
And won 13 Emmys for it, and it just did really well. And then that show was going into kind of a syndication world, and Teresa and I had been wanting to move into the grown-up world and started developing a Christmas movie and a sitcom. And so that's how Fubble came about. And we also did a stage, we're creative producers for a Laugh Fest comedy festival that supported Gilda's clubs. And our first person we got to create a show around was Betty White.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, really? This is amazing.
So at some point in there, between doing the children's show and the sitcom, I did end up, I left the Children's Museum to exclusively run the children's TV show company. And then I left that company when Patrick and I did Fubble. And we've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. I was just going to say, speaking of fun names,
I know.
Fubble is as unique as suspenders and button. How'd you come up with that?
Well, shall I? Sure. So we were, at the time, Patrick had invited me to go to New York with him. We had the kids show. We were trying to pitch it. We were kind of getting an agent, but he had all these ideas. He's like this person who's like, there's an idea. And so he had all these ideas kind of percolating and was like, hey, do you want to go to New York with me? And I'm like this children's museum director. I'm like, sure, I'll go play media person. This will be fun. And I put pretend I'm a media mogul hat on and just had a blast. And so I attended a couple meetings with him, and we had this meeting with the potential agent at William Morris, and we ended up getting that agent for a while. But when we left the meeting, I said to Patrick, I'm like, because Patrick got a little nervous before the meeting. I said, why are you so nervous? You're great in the room. Like, I don't understand why you were so nervous with this. And he said, I'm just always so afraid I'm going to fubble. And I started to laugh, and I was like, oh, like that?
Because I'm dyslexic, so I mess my words up sometimes. I was trying to say flub or stumble.
Yeah.
So it was like that came out, and we thought, you're going to fubble in life and go along with it, and everybody does it. So it's kind of, and it creates a good conversation piece in meetings too. It kind of breaks the ice a little bit to fubble.
Right. Yeah. Everyone fubbles, and sometimes that's exactly what you need to do, and it gets you going in a slightly different direction, and that's where you needed to go. I love it. Love it. That's a great name story.
Thanks.
Yeah. And we were like, at that point, we didn't even know we were like, if we ever have a company, we should call it Fubble. And it was like, it wasn't even and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, we have a company.
We have Fubble. Look at us. We have Fubble. No, that's spectacular.
Yeah. Tell us about Fubble Entertainment and what you do within that company.
Well, our tagline is new media with a nostalgic appeal. Contemporary media. I can't even get it. I fumbled on our tagline. Contemporary media with a nostalgic appeal. So we're really about, we do stage, we do live production, but we really try to create shows that have heart to it and makes you feel good, but also makes you think. So we're developing the other Christmas movie called The Santa Hat that we did a stage reading, Zoom reading of during the pandemic. And that's a redemptive movie about a guy that's going through a very tough time and goes back in time and becomes his father and walks in his father's shoes as a story of forgiveness. So, and then we have a couple of half-an-hour comedies that we're developing and pitching as well. So yeah, we have a children's project we're working on right now. So
you sound a little unbuttoned.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like you know, in this business, I mean, I think in some ways you've got to we keep following our passion for sure, but you know, we like a lot of the different pieces of the industry. We like producing, we like writing, we both individually like directing, we both like performing. I mean, performers. So it is and sometimes we do, like my solo show was kind of done adjacent to Fubble, but you know, like Patrick came in and ran the tech for my show when I did it. So I mean, we're not far, and we met in college, so we've been friends for a couple decades.
A little while. A
little while. Yeah.
Little while.
Yeah, one of our things was we've always wanted to do a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
We love that medium and we love that network. And so for us to do it this way, the way our first movie, it's just been fantastic. And the Hallmarkies, as I learned about, have just embraced it in such a big way. So we're very thankful.
Yeah, I loved the folks that you talked to with Ride, the writers from Ride, who were talking about the billboard. Patrick and I, when we came to LA, we would stay at the Sportsman's Lodge, which is right across the street from the Hallmark billboard.
You're like, someday.
Yeah. And then we were like, oh man, are we going to get a billboard for this? It's like, we wanted that billboard bit.
But I was so happy to hear because truthfully, we thought, the timing of our movie, but they do it for series and that kind of thing. And I was so happy to hear how happy and excited they were about it.
It was very fun to hear. Like they drove out there to go get their pictures with the kids. Like everyone get in the photo.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we'll get our billboard someday. But I was so happy that it was so great that they were so excited.
Yeah.
It's fun to hear everyone be so excited about their work, right?
Yeah.
I'm just over here wanting you to repitch the Christmas movie with the male protagonist, because I feel like maybe that's something they would actually do now.
You know, it's interesting.
Shifting their focus.
There's a little shifting going on over there. Yeah, we're excited to see. We've got a few irons in the fire, but that's an interesting idea to at least remind them that we have that. And they liked the writing of it. And it's like Blessing Bracelet. I mean, that's the thing that we appreciated that they embraced so much, was that it was a little out of formula, not entirely, but a little out of formula. And so we appreciated how much they resonated with the challenges that she was going through. And our character's really grappling with, he's angry with his dad. And
and it has a little bit of people that have read it, which is so nice. They say it's a little, It's a Wonderful Life meets Miracle on 34th Street with a little bit of Back to the Future.
I love that.
He goes back and forth in time. And
back in time. Also, start the song now.
Yeah, right.
And we had the amazing Ed Asner did our voiceover for us. I mean, come on, the voiceover.
Live action.
Ed Asner, like, come on, that's like spectacular.
I know. He was attached until he wasn't.
That's hard.
Yeah.
But he's an icon, and
Yeah.
we just lost an amazing man there. I've always got a special place for Ed Asner as a Mary Tyler Moore fan. And,
yeah.
And he did one of the most popular Christmas movies, The Christmas Card, as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Plus, he was in the Lacey and Brendan's. Is that
Which
who's in that
one?
one?
The what?
The In movies.
The what?
In
that's
Love.
right. That's right.
Yeah. He's to the point where he's just sitting on the bench outside the hardware store. Like, perfect use. If you're going to use Ed Asner like that, that was like the most spectacular use of Ed Asner.
Totally.
Right? No, we're completely Ed Asner's fans.
I feel like the fandom would really get behind that vision of a male protagonist too, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and there's very strong female characters in it. The wife is very strong, through her journey, but also there's Minnie Herpelberg, who's the wife of the man who runs the store, and
The department store, yeah.
And she's got quite an interesting journey as well in the movie. So there are very strong female characters throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
So.
I just feel like what you said. It's like just a little bit different. Sorry, Julie. I'm sorry. It's like
I love a good name. I love a good character name. So I'm dying over here.
Oh, Minnie Herpelberg. Well, it was inspired. We had two stores in our town. Well, I'll tell two things. See, Sarah, we do this. We were talking about this before the show. Two things. One, there was two stores, Herpelsheimer's and Wurzburg's were the downtown department stores. So we came up with Herpelberg's, which was anyway, so that's where Minnie Herpelberg comes from. But in our script, the way Hallmark works, especially with first time, since this was our first Hallmark, they paid us basically to write the script and to do the rewrite, but then they bring in a polisher, and that's Michael Grimm, who's also on it. And he's somebody that had worked with Dayspring, and he's somebody that they're comfortable with. And so when Joey sent us the rewrite of the polished script, he was like, hey, just want you to, he was so nice. But anyway, he sent us the script, and I was like, oh, please let Flancy still be in there. Please let Flancy still be in there, which was one of our character names. And she stayed, so I was very happy.
She was there.
Yeah.
Perfect. That must be hard as writers to kind of hand over your script and then let somebody else polish it up, I imagine. I mean, it's obvious that happens all throughout the industry, but still, I imagine you're like, here's my baby. Don't change it too much.
But the weirdest thing was
process. Yeah, go ahead, Patrick.
What the weirdest thing was for us, because we've produced almost everything that we've worked on. So it was handing it off, and everybody's like, so are you going to Canada? And we're like, nope. Are you going to be at production? Or nope. And we didn't. And that was interesting. And I said to Joey, I said, could we come to set if we wanted to? And he's like, you absolutely can. You have to pay for it yourself. and also the COVID regulations at that time too, which is a story that during the rewrite, Teresa came down with COVID
for the first time.
And I came down with this horrible respiratory thing, and we would write and go sleep and come back and rewrite and go to sleep. It was an interesting process.
You'll never forget that.
No. In fact, we write over Zoom, and so often when we're not in the same town. And so I recorded our Zoom session when Patrick was like, it was like, we got to remember this nightmare.
You just send them clips every once in a while.
Yeah.
Copying. And then the sleep with the COVID. I mean, that is like one of the biggest. I think it's the symptom people don't talk about. Like, excuse me, I'm gonna go sleep for 20 hours now.
Yeah,
I know. It's like I'm like writing right. I'm like I have to I'm gonna pass out right now. And I just. But luckily, and I had it for 21 days. It would not go away.
No, that's pretty. it's pretty common. It rides long. It rides long as long as you could stay out of the hospital and didn't exactly. Yep. That was the goal at that time. That was the goal. Yeah. So back to the writing of the blessing bracelet. You got this idea. You met this woman. She made these blessing bracelets. You're like, there's a story. How did you guys start the process of going from here's a bracelet and this woman has a story? Like, how did you start writing that story?
The story really, the inspiration, I'm wearing mine right now.
Yeah.
The inspiration is definitely around the bracelet. I mean, we used Dawn's name, but it's inspired by Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
So we really looked at what the bracelet did for her and what it did for others. And the true part of it is that she did start handing it out as gifts, and people started, gifting them forward. And from there, people were like, where can I buy it? Where can I get it? And so that's kind of how we came up with the concept. And, there is a certain way that Hallmark does their movies. And so we kind of were like, okay. And to their credit, they sent us a script and said, here's an example of what to follow. So we kind of, I saw you did the video of them with the board and the Post-its.
Yeah,
we did the same thing. We would break it down, and the acts and everything, or the different scenes. And so that's kind of how it evolved. It just really came from the bracelet, and then Teresa and I start throwing ideas back and forth about how it can happen and who will do what, and then
we sit and go, okay, what's his name? Is it James? Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. Michael? Nah. It's so funny. And then all of a sudden, Ben, and all of a sudden, it's such a
fun. My whole life.
It's so funny. It's such a fun process to just.
Well, what else was interesting about it was Teresa's really great with numbers, and she really got specific about how many bracelets she would have to sell, how in what amount of time, and which check would do what. And
such a spreadsheet. We had
created a whole spreadsheet.
I'm like, how much would her house be? How much would the payment be?
She needed 1,000 bracelets in 3 days. I don't know that I noticed the number of things or either. That might be my thing also. I hear you. It makes sense.
And the time frame, that she had to do it. And the one thing that we're hearing from so many people, and I actually went out for dinner with my brother and his wife and my dad the other night, about that she should have kept the check, the $10,000 check. And so many people are like, I'm glad she didn't keep the check. And my sister-in-law was like, no, if she would have kept the check, then she would have been owing him something. Mm-hmm. And so that's been a little bit of, so we do think through those things, those details. So, and
some of them got changed by the time it showed up on, that's the part of the non-attachment. It's like, oh, okay. Well, that's okay. Yeah. That's where they landed. I mean, we're so grateful through this process. It's like,
Is there one thing, can you give us an example of something that got changed from your script to what ended up airing on the TV? Could be little or big, whatever you want to share.
Trying to think. I mean, they kept so much of the general tone of what we did. I do know there was one thing that got changed that, speaking of, Patrick worked so hard on this, Mr. Dyslexic, who, like, what we do is we'll divide and conquer. Hey, you write this, you write that, and we come back and we share blah, blah, blah. And he spent, I don't know how long in the middle of his RSV or whatever his upper respiratory was, coming up with a very technical misdirect of Dawn almost sees him at the bank. Mm-hmm. So the bank actually had Carlos dropping his phone and then crawling under the desk and then doing this. I mean, it was so like, you could tell it required mapping so that it just and then she stands in the doorway and then blah, 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 I mean, it was so, and it just came down to like, he walks by, she walks by. So that was.
We did know that because Joey was like, Joey had us, if you remember, Joey did have us rewrite it because Joey went, there's too much. You got to bring it down. And what I loved is they kept in, that he forgot his cell phone. And so he did that. I think the thing that they expanded upon that we really liked was the character Pearl.
Yeah.
That they really carried her through. They added more to her than what we had written. And that made me so happy. So there was
she also had a story that arc.
Yeah, she had a story arc. Yeah, she was. Yeah. Yeah, it's such a collaborative process. It's really fun. And Joey just honors everybody's work, and he really is a mensch. I mean, he's just like Patrick said, he's such a good human. Like, we are so grateful to our friend Danny, who introduced us, who was like, hey, you guys want to do a Hallmark thing? I know this guy who makes Hallmark movies. You guys should meet. And
it's amazing.
I love that.
Oh, there he goes.
We lost him. He can come back. That's why Catherine's here.
Catherine's here. Yeah,
he's paying attention. We've had multiple directors on, and one of the things they tell us is they send the movie, and then when they see the movie, it's even different for them. So,
I imagine. I mean, even the editing stuff. I mean, there were just a few pieces where like they needed. You could tell they added ADR and like things that wouldn't necessarily, just because they had to make something work.
Right. Yeah. No. So we're always like so interested in like the whole process, and I think like you guys have a great feel for like the whole process because you came out of production. And I think that just seems more helpful. Instead of you see this and what didn't happen, you see the whole process, and that's
and I think even working on this, it even strengthened I feel like now, knock wood, next one, knock wood, I have my producer hat on when I'm doing stuff that we're working on.
Right.
But I also we love Minnie Herpelberg, Patrick and I love to create characters.
Right.
So it's very easy for us. Like our Santa hat is got a lot of characters. Like we like characters. And when you're giving a script to somebody else to produce who has a finite budget, it's he's like, Patrick's texting. He's like, I can't give you all of the characters you have, so you've got to cut them down. He just said, I don't know what happened.
Wait, there he is.
Yeah. It kept on spinning.
All of a sudden you were just
sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
I was talking about what a terrible writer you were and how I had to carry everything.
Give her the opportunity and she'll take the mic.
We were just talking about how we've even talked to a lot of directors who they send stuff in, and then when they see it, they're like, oh, that is not what I sent in. And I appreciate your guys' point of view. That clearly shows your background in production. Like you understand the whole process. So
you can't be attached to anything. I actually just heard this writer today, and it was fascinating. He was talking about they asked him, what is your favorite part of, he's a writer director, what is your favorite part of the writing process? And he said, when I see the final cut and they've taken out what I thought was the absolute most important piece of the script. And he said, because it shows him that he needs to trust the rest of the script, that's already, it was a really interesting, it was just such an interesting way to be not attached, and especially as writers, as we're talkers too, we want to get it all out. We want to make sure everybody knows everything that's on, in here, and we've got it all on the page. And it's like, you got to edit. So it's interesting.
And once we got to see the first cut, the producer's cut, it was just like, it went beyond our expectations. I thought the quality of the project, of the production and everything was really good. I was very happy about that.
Yeah, our agent that helped us with our contracts was like the just production quality wise, just all the way, and the acting, and Amanda Schul and Carla Marks were everybody was so good. And
we get to talk to Carlo in January for the one Wedding Veil movies. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Oh, fun.
Nice. And I love the way the looks, you very much got the church shots of everybody working there together. Like that sometimes those feel just too staged, right? And
Yeah.
this was like, look, we're actually here. This is how this looks when we all sit down to do this kind of stuff, right?
The interesting thing is,
we chatted with the three gal pals, the
Yeah.
gal friends, and they were talking about how they, Dawn sent them a video on how to make the bracelets. So they really were there making bracelets during the shoot. So it was all very authentic, which was fun.
and it's interesting, Dawn's kind of living the movie right now because people are wanting the bracelets. And so she's just in a bit of overwhelm,
Yes.
good overwhelm, but she's
Right.
in overwhelm.
Yes, I did see, to be patient. I think I was looking them up last night. Like, it's going to be a little bit for shipping, I think is
Yeah.
what
Well, she's making them out of her home.
Right.
This is, I don't think she understood
how big this could be.
how big and how wonderful the Hallmark community is, and the Hallmarkies, the fan base. I mean, these are just, they're such dear people.
Right. Right. We've actually been to a couple of fan events, and you're there and you get to see directors and the actors, and there's brass from Hallmark there and everything, but it's the people that we have met there. It's like, if we get to another one, we're going to be looking for our friends that we've met at these events. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
I texted the guy who directed my solo show. He was a writer on Golden Girls. He wrote the first season of Golden Girls, and he wrote Gilmore Girls, and he does both. He does both of their. In fact, he's a writer. If you guys ever, but he does the Gilmore Fan Fest, like a coffee fest in Northeast, and he does like cruises with Golden Girls stuff.
Oh, fun.
And I was like, Patrick and I had this sweet little signing at a Hallmark store in town.
Yeah.
And I texted him right after, and I was like, oh my gosh, Stan, I get it. Like, I get it. Like, these people are so sweet. I mean, I get it.
I wanted to ask you about that. Tell us about going to the Hallmark store with Dawn and meeting, all the fans of the movies.
It was so it was a full circle in an interesting way for Teresa and I, because we've been going to that mall since we were in college, or together. But
we've been going together, but we've been going separately since we figured at one point when we were probably 6 or 7 years old, we both played on the same, what is it? OSHA would sue people nowadays. We both played on the Rhino or whatever it was. Yeah.
But it was really fun. And then, family and friends showed up, but then the fans. And what was really sweet is a woman came, and she and her husband, and basically couldn't afford a bracelet.
She drove about 40 minutes to get there.
And one of the women that was working the event gave her a bracelet, and they just both broke down in tears. And that's what's been beautiful about the bracelet, is that I just got a text from a friend of mine her boyfriend's mother gave her the bracelet and gave it to her daughters, not knowing that she had any connection to me.
That's
and
crazy.
Her young son asked if he could wear it before bed and do four blessings before he went to bed. So that's been what's been beautiful. Yeah. One of the many beautiful things about this process.
I love that. And I was actually thinking about that the bracelets could also be made to look child designs. And Dawn makes jewelry, but I work with children, and I think that I could see something like that expanding out. Let's call Dawn.
Julie, I see what you're thinking. And I think that,
Right. They could count their blessings as they're going around. And I understand why her son, I think, because kids like a visual and a tactile thing. So, right. And so I can totally see that happening. And that's kind of crazy. Like, this all started because you met this woman, right?
Yeah. She met my partner, and then the two of them worked on a project together. And then from there, I learned about the blessing bracelet and told Teresa, and then Teresa and I started just playing around with it. And I saw her a few years ago and I said, hey, that's when we had gotten the message from Hallmark and this might happen. Well, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And
Right.
all of a sudden it was like, this is happening.
That's crazy.
I love stories like that.
Right. Right.
It feels like it's all in the right time and the perfect time. And
Yes.
you just, I mean, this industry, it's so hard to not be attached to wanting to make things happen a certain way.
Yep.
But I mean, the best laid plans, it's going to happen when the universe wants it to happen, or it's not, or what, you just have to.
Right.
We have the line in between the mother and daughter, and she says, I think you need to let go and let God. And that's, we're both, people of spiritual backgrounds, and we believe that. And that's kind of what we did with this process. It was like, if it's meant to happen, it's gonna, and it happened in a better way than we could have humanly thought.
Right. Exactly. I feel like that's just such a good life lesson in general.
It's so hard. As a control freak, it's so hard. It just is, but it is fascinating how it just manifests the way it's supposed to manifest.
But as a control freak, you were ready with all of the pieces when it was ready to go. So.
Yeah, so when the executive at Hallmark said, yes, we want to do this, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, and 2 weeks passed, and then 2 months passed, and then a year passed, and we were like, why don't we just write this? Why don't we just, because at that point we had just sold, soft sold the idea, but we hadn't written it yet. And so we were like, let's write it. And so we wrote it. And then when we met Joey, we were able to go in with the completed script. And so when Joey forwarded our script onto them, if we hadn't had, and then that's why all of a sudden we could turn something around so quickly, because we had done that work, which was,
because originally it was just a regular rom-com, if you want, drom-com, because it was more drama with drama romance is what.
Yeah, drom-rom. It was more of a drom-rom.
And then
drama.
Could you make it into Christmas? And then that's when we went, let's go write it. And so we went and the couple about Ride were talking about how they did a spec script. We didn't get paid for that script.
Right.
And it was ready and it was in the files when they were looking for something that would line up for Dayspring and Easter.
I love that. Love that. Be prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared in this business. You can't, because that will just not work if you're not prepared.
Right.
You have to be ready for the yes, because it will come from somewhere that you're not expecting. And we're grateful it came the way it came.
Yeah, that's amazing. Actually, kind of how that was slow to happen and then fast to materialize. Right? It was slow until it wasn't.
Now is the time we usually play a little favorites game. Are you up for that?
Sure.
One of these days, we're going to write a better way to introduce the game.
It's not really a game.
We say that every time. Okay, let's start with rom-com. Do you have a favorite rom-com?
Okay.
Who wants to start?
I'm old school.
Yeah.
So I would say my favorite rom-com is Yours, Mine, and Ours with Lucille Ball and Henry Fonda.
So good.
Yeah, classic.
And today's the anniversary of her passing and Carol Burnett's 90th birthday.
Yeah.
I did see the 90th birthday for Carol, but I did not realize that for Lucille. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's so funny. I don't know what my favorite rom-com is, but I know that I will fast forward to things that I've already seen. I don't even know if you know this about me, Patrick, just to see the moment or the moments where, like, the only one I'm thinking of right now is Notting Hill, which and I don't know why I'm thinking of that, but it's like, I'll fast forward to the moment where she's sitting at the table with all the friends around the table. And there's something ooey gooey about that moment of just them being themselves and being natural. And then I'll fast forward to the part where she's in the bookstore with him. You know, it's I don't know. There's just
It's like
well,
those
I
moments.
just like all the moment. I don't know that I don't know. That's just such an interesting question. See, I'm a writer. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
We love that. I think that I do that sometimes too. Sometimes I'll just want to watch a scene from a show, or like, I don't know, whether it's something, a romantic show, or like something is really funny, and I'll do the same thing. I might not be all the time, but every once in a while. Yeah.
It's the meet cutes. Like I like the meet cutes. I like those. I like the Harry Met Sally. I like the meet cutes.
Yeah, yeah. I like the moments that drive the story.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the ride riders. He talked about it. It's the tent poles that drive the story. So they're putting the tent poles up is how he said it. But it was like the first time I like really got it as somebody who's a numbers person.
Yeah.
I like those moments to be well done too. Like they need to drive the story. Drives me insane when they're not. So
we're a bit of continuity freaks. So
don't mess up the continuity too, because I can't handle that. It's like, oh, you missed on what happened to that? That just fell off, and right.
And it happens so much. I have a friend who sent me a reel, his director's reel. He was like, take a look at my director's reel. What do you think? And it was on his director's reel was something he had produced for television that was on TV. It was a movie on TV. And I was like, did you know there's a boom shot in your? He was like, what? Just amazing. And he sent it back to the editor and it was gone. I'm like, oh, the magic of television. It was
magic of television. Yeah. The magic of television. Oh, I love that. All right. So do you guys have a favorite TV show or TV show you're currently binging?
Oh, I do. I like so much of the Brit murder mystery stuff, the British. I'm like a Brit box and Acorn person, but I am 100%, 110, 150% in on Ted Lasso and Succession.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that Succession is the furthest thing from a Hallmark movie you could ever.
You know, we watch it all. I'm going to tell you right now, we watch everything. So
Succession is so good.
I just want to know what's your favorite like British mystery show? You know,
I'm actually watching. I like Silent Witness, which is just, but I'm watching The Bay right now.
Okay.
I like The Bay a lot. I liked that one a lot. That's like a 6-episode series. Honestly, I'll watch them all. I'm watching Grace. I'll watch like just the serial procedural kind of stuff. And the one with Olivia Colman, did you see Broadhurst?
No, it's up there like on my.
Get it. If you like British mystery, grab that.
I'm just starting to get into them. So.
Oh, okay. That's a good one to start. That is going to be your gateway drug.
Okay.
Gateway drug.
Adding to my list.
It's your marijuana.
What about you, Patrick?
So as I said, I'm old school. So my favorite of all time is I Love Lucy.
Oh yeah.
And I discovered it because of the show and the comedy, but we use the Desilu model, which was, hire the best people and get out of their way. I mean, they had 2 writers and a producer that did the first, I think, 5 seasons before they brought 2 more in. So think about how many,
so many episodes.
And I had the great privilege of meeting all those writers and being in a room with them, and they were watching Vitamita Vegemin, and I was like, pinch me. This is amazing.
Amazing.
So I've been very lucky. I'm friends with Lucy Arnaz. So, and Desi was a genius. And so that's my comedy. My drama actually was the original Perry Mason. I love watching the original Perry Mason. And so, but current day, I am also a Succession, I have to admit.
Everyone is.
I guess I did not
know. The most
that.
despicable people. And it's
I can't believe you like Succession.
I do.
How did I not know that?
It's well done, and it's good writing, and it's good characters. But I also love because of the style and design and everything about it, is Mrs. Maisel. I think
Yeah.
just again, great characters,
So
but
great.
production design is.
Yeah.
And my little guilty pleasure is when I have lunch, I watch the old What's My Line.
Oh, fun. I love that.
I love that. Just there's such an intelligence and such a quality about it. Not very diverse. I'm like,
no.
that's one thing that's missing about it. So yeah, that's me.
Oh, these are fun answers. I grew up watching I Love Lucy too. So
my adopted grandmother was actually on all of her shows.
What,
so,
really?
Yeah, she played 2 characters on I Love Lucy before she became the next door neighbor Betty Ramsey when they moved to Connecticut. And then she was on the Lucy Show and Here's Lucy. And I met her in LA, and her son had died in Vietnam and her husband had passed. And so she had no family really. And we took care of her, and she kind of became my adopted grandmother.
I love that.
And my dog's named after her too. So.
That's perfect. It's great. I feel like I always say I'm like an old soul. Like my daughter's name is Liza because in high school I was obsessed with Judy Garland. Like
fun.
Oh, that's
I love that whole era. Yeah. Anyway, how about favorite foods? Something healthy and maybe guilty pleasure.
I would eat chocolate brownies every day of my life if I could. But I don't eat them at all because they do not love me. I love food. You know, it's so funny. I just love food. I love really good South Indian food. Most restaurants from Indian food are Northern Punjabi. That's heavier sauces. The South Indian food's a little bit cleaner. They do the dosas, which are like pancakey kind of things. I am a huge fan of South Indian. There you go.
Okay.
It's special. We have South Indian friends. My husband is very active in the Indian community. He's Italian American and native or indigenous, but he's a practicing Hindu. So we get to eat authentic South Indian food.
Yeah. Love that.
Good.
You know, it's interesting around food because Teresa and I will quite often go to a restaurant and write. And we've got a couple of places that we love in Grand Rapids. And then in LA, we love to go to the Smokehouse, which is in Burbank. And so my go-to is I love Friday night Mexican food. I love to do that. And then the other thing is that we both like is a big, huge bowl of popcorn.
Yeah. In fact, I might do popcorn dinner tonight.
Popcorn dinner.
I call it popcorn dinner. My bowl is like 3 times the size of my head. And I'm like, oh, popcorn dinner tonight. That's what I'm going to eat.
All right. And do you pop it yourself? Like
I do. I have an air popper.
Yeah. Okay.
I do over the
old school. You do it old school.
That's what we do in coconut oil.
Oh, you do? I use olive oil.
Yeah. We do when we're out of coconut, but it gives it like a nice kind of flavor, and we're dairy free in my house, so like nice and a little buttery flavor.
I grew up with a dad that totally did it in the pan and dumped it in the bowl.
Too.
Yeah,
I have my mom's popcorn bowl. It's like this big,
and that's what it's called. It's called the popcorn bowl.
Yeah. I mean, she used to serve the popcorn out of it for me and my brother, but now I eat out of the whole thing.
No, my mom completely has a popcorn bowl. There's a popcorn bowl, right? That's what they're there for. Fill her on up. Let's go.
That's what Blake said. I grew up with a whiskey slush bucket.
Whiskey slush bucket. Sounds spectacular.
That was at family gatherings, and I experienced a whiskey slush
bucket. My mom had those white buckets. I don't know, maybe lard came in them or something back then. Like white, just giant white tub, and she'd make whiskey slush in there and have the whiskey slush buckets.
And how is a whiskey slush, Patrick? Is it good?
It is good.
Sounds delicious.
I'm a whiskey guy, so you can't go too wrong with whiskey, actually.
I like my alcohol frozen, so I'm maybe all in.
I'll send you the recipe. I think
that'd be great. Send that.
We should send that. Julie, we need to make that like a slushy night. Live.
Well, of course
That's
we went
fun.
live.
That's fun. Do a live cocktail and interviews. Fun.
Yes. We have regularly brought drinks onto our
Well,
interviews.
let's be honest. I do. You fake it. You'll like have it.
And then I'm like the worst drinker because like not that I'm a bad drinker, I don't actually drink my drink. So it's one of those things. Well, whatever. Okay. So musicals. Do you have a favorite musical?
Yes.
Yes.
Mine is
No
Stephen Sondheim's Sunday in the Park with George.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess yours was Sunday in the Park with George.
How come I don't know that one? Now
It's based on the artist George Seurat and the painting on the island of La Grande Chute. You probably wouldn't know the painting from Ferris Bueller's Day Off when they go and it gets closer and closer and closer, and it's pointillism. And it's Mandy Patinkin and Bernadette Peters, and it was done in the 80s. The lyrics alone are just beautiful. For anybody that's in the creative world is just amazing. There's a song called Move On. Listen to that and look at the lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That's mine.
Love it.
Again, I'm so not I'm not always. I love being in the audience at a musical and being moved. What's the one that I like them all. I liked Violet, was so interesting. I liked Bat Boy the musical. It was so entertaining. I like watching the big shows. I just saw, my husband and I went and saw Moulin Rouge. I mean, that was just a really big one. I saw but sometimes it hurts because it feels so good to be in that. Like when an audience is giving an authentic, I think sometimes we do standing ovations too much, but I think when you are part of that collective standing ovation and you have just been moved, I mean, Ragtime is so powerful, and seeing shows in New York, and Billy Elliot, we have a friend who won the Tony for Billy Elliot, his Tony for Billy Elliot. To be on the stage, to see talented people expressing their art form, it's like, I love musicals. So it's like all of those collective moments of just being in there and just feeling it in your body. And I can't sing, and I'm like, oh, what a powerful thing to be able to sing and dance and hold an audience in the palm of your hands like that. That's not a name for it. I don't know. I like them all. There's some I don't like. But
now we need to know one that you don't like.
What don't I like? Oh my God, I hate Company.
Yeah.
Bobby, Booby, Bobby, Booby, Bobby. I'm like, isn't that Sondheim? Isn't that your buddy?
It is Sondheim. But you know what? Like some things have moments that I love and things that I don't love about them for sure, right? You know. But I love being in a live performance, and when you're at a musical, and I'm going to tell you what musical I love. I love whichever one the pit is just starting. It's like that moment when the pit starts the music before the show, the overtures before the show. It's like you are there. You are now being transported to that land. Like,
did you see Come From Away?
I'd not.
Oh, it's such a great music experience because it's like takes place in Nova Scotia, and the band it's just so fun.
Then I would love that.
Yeah.
Okay. I love those answers though.
Yeah. What about a band or singer?
I'm terrible. I don't like.
What are you listening to right now?
I don't like concerts at all. My favorite, probably my favorite singer that I like is Josh
Groban.
Josh Groban. I like Josh Groban. But I would say I like old school again. So I like Nat King Cole. I like Ella Fitzgerald. That's, but if it was a band, it would be either it would be Queen. That
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, my brother took me to 2 concerts.
I'm like, I don't have Queen up right now, but
I know. I noticed that. Yeah.
I was like, because I was just like, I just changed.
you
I was
changed
like,
Yeah.
Because who do you have up there? You had
Really?
six up there the other day. I noticed.
I have Chicago 17 and Grease
Of
for the movie, and then the Hometown
Prince.
Blue, Prince and the Revolution.
That was a great concert. I saw
Yeah,
him.
and he played locally in the small.
Oh
at,
yeah, Minnesota. Yeah.
In Minneapolis, he would play downtown all the time. So
Oh.
at First Avenue is kind of iconic. He would just show up. You know, whoever was there booked the night. If Prince showed up, you like just walked off the stage because Prince was there.
Nice.
So, yeah, no Queen though. Like that
Yeah.
voice, holy buckets, man.
Yeah.
I
I can probably say what Teresa's is.
I'm so curious.
Genesis.
Well, that was my high school love.
I can pull out Genesis
Gabriel.
also.
So even like now I'm more of a Peter Gabriel.
Yeah.
Originally with it's if you go through I have like different playlists. So I have like jazzy fun, you know, dance music, blah 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 blah. I'm like I listen to Harry Styles. I'm listening to but I think my sweet spot, which I'm surprised you didn't say, Patrick, is 60s French pop music.
Yeah.
60s French pop. Okay.
Yeah, there is something about listening to people singing weird songs in French that just fills my heart with joy.
I didn't
What's
even
the
know that
song?
was a thing.
What's it called? Boom. B-O-U-M.
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah.
B-O-U-M.
Yeah.
And I-
Trinae. Do I have Bridget Bardot singing These Boots Are Made for Walking in French?
Oh, is that who it is? Yeah.
Yeah, that might be her. Yeah.
Bridget Bardot.
It might be
Well,
her.
now we know what music to put next time we like post the link for you.
When I did my headshots in LA, she was like, "What?" I'm like, "Do you have French pop music from the 60s on Spotify?" And she did. She was able to look it up, and yeah, it's fun.
Perfect.
And my husband's Italian, but the Italian pop 60s music doesn't do it for me.
No.
Got to be French.
Okay. I learned something new today.
Well, you guys have been really fun. Thank you so much for coming on. We love meeting you and learning about this whole process that you have gone through. So yeah.
And
Thank
if
you
people
so
haven't seen it, they can watch it one more time on the 30th, which
Yes.
is
So yeah, it's going to air on.
Yeah.
Yep, Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, right?
right.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
On the 30th, so it's coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
Grab it, throw it on your DVR. It's great.
I have mine set to record. Yep.
Oh,
good.
nice. Nice.
And tell everybody where can they follow you on social media.
Patrick W Ziegler on Instagram, and that's primarily where I am. Other than Facebook, my professional one is Patrick W Ziegler, and then Fubble is Fubble Entertainment. So,
And I'm at Thome Play if you want to see pictures of birds, because that's what my Instagram is. I'm a birder, so I take pictures of birds.
I love that.
Play and then
I did do a scroll down the birds.
Oh
Very
yay!
and she was so excited that at the Easter Sunday, her Dawn Amanda Shaw was wearing a dress that had birds on it.
It's dead.
I know. I was like, I want that bird. I want that dress. I want that dress.
With all the birds on it.
So cute.
Is Fubble only on a website, or is there an Instagram?
There is an Instagram. I haven't been keeping it up well enough. I kind of do that.
I told you, he's a slacker. It's just
She doesn't do any of it. And
She puts
that
her
wasn't
birds
our
up.
agreement.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
she does her birds, but other than that,
Correct.
And it's
I'll catch up on
fubblentertainment.com and at Fubbleent, E-N-T, Fubbleent.
Perfect. So make sure you
Thank
follow. Yes.
great,
Thank
ladies.
you, everybody. Good night, everybody. Hang on for 1 second. We'll say bye.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Uh-oh.
Do we lose Catherine?
I
Catherine.
know, it's one of those times that's like taking a long time.
Oh.
So hi, everybody. Bye.
Hi, bye.
And we're in the
Am I